to reject. And what the book talks about is three different things. So either, when it comes to renouncing, you're either unwilling, you're incapable, or you're unable, right? So when it comes to unwilling, basically you are saying that you are not ready or you are not prepared to do whatever responsibility that you have. If you are incapable, you're telling others that you are lacking the ability or you don't have the qualifications to do said responsibilities. And then when it comes to if you say you're unable, that means kind of similar to incapable, but you're lacking competency, that you're not able to carry out whatever mission that God has purposed you to carry out. So we have to ask ourselves, right, how does this actually apply to us as Christians? You know, as we're professing that we are children who walk with God in spirit and in truth, we're professing that we're here to do the mission, the purpose of what God has for us. How do we actually let go of any beliefs that are hindering us from actually accomplishing what God has for us? So when it comes to this, the book lists out several excuses that, the author, Afolabi, several excuses that he hears often. A lot of them are, oh, I'm too old, oh, I'm too young, oh, I don't have, the skills, I don't have the talent, I don't have, or I failed before when I tried to do something. And therefore, because I failed before, I will not try to do it again. All right? So all of those are kind of excuses that you see and that you hear of why Christians, when it comes to actually doing what God has for us, they don't want to go through and do it again. Now, talking about the responsibilities as Christians, right? First chapter that we want to look at is Romans chapter 8. So Romans chapter 8, we can start at verse 29. Romans 8:29. It says, Romans 8:29, King James. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. So this verse is telling us that God already knew, his people, his chosen people, and he predestined them to be conformed in the image of the Son. As we also read in Genesis, God made man in his own image, right? So God already knows the purpose that he wants us to accomplish in our lifetime. And therefore it is up to us to actually follow that purpose, follow the path that God has ordained for us. And we shouldn't be given excuses in order to carry out those purposes. Second chapter that the book wants us to look at is Luke chapter 21, verse 34. Luke 21:34 says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. So, of course, just as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. So, as the people were marrying, they were drinking, they were partying, they were having fun, they were not being prepared. They were not prepared for the actual flood that came and overtook them. It's the same thing for us in our lifetime. God is telling us to always be vigilant. God is telling us to stay away from drunkenness. Where if you're drunk, you're drinking alcohol, your state of mind is not right. All right, your state of mind is very impaired. If you want to go and drink and drive, which you should never do, you are not driving in the right state of mind. So will it be when it comes to doing the things of God, and you're giving excuses after excuses after excuses. You are not in the right state of mind, and therefore God is telling you to actually follow, take heed and be vigilant, so that you will be prepared when the Son of Man actually comes back. Last chapter that we will look at now. Is there any questions so far on anything? In fact, let me pause here. See if there's any contributions, questions from the audience. No? Okay. So I want to also look at 1 Timothy chapter 6. You can start from verses 9 and read through 10 or 11. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which draw men into destruction and perdition. Verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So again, when it comes to the things of God, especially in this America, money basically controls everything. So God is telling us to be very, very careful not to just love money to a point where we keep it as God itself, right? I just wanted to do that. So, a lot of people always quote this verse, for example, and they always say money is evil. No, money is not evil. The love of money is evil. It's to where if we are avoiding coming to church, for example, just because we want to go and get overtime for work, that is not a valid excuse from God's end. We should keep the kingdom of God first, and then everything else will be added thereafter onto us. So this Bible passage that was discussed in the book is basically telling us to always put the things of God first. When it comes to your faith, do not err from it, and do not put gold, oil, drugs, money, whatever ahead of God. So, all right. So that's the end of my section. I will go ahead and pass it to Brother Peter, who's going to come up and discuss case studies for Bethel.